It's my best friend for 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched the poison we take with regret. Rejoice 'cause they haven't found you yet. 'Cause everyone I know, they're afraid of their own skin. With nothing left to show, we're afraid of where we've been. You gotta let me in. I'm not a monster. Bury your friend. Drowning in water. I lend you my hand. Falling the leather. Release my regret. Is this all you wanted? It's all in your head. You gotta let me in. You gotta let me
Paranoid, you claim this love that you never started. You once destroyed.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another Thursday Night Live. This is the Burly Fishing Podcast, and we are super pumped to be here tonight because we have. I'm gonna try not to fangirl too hard, man. You gotta bear with me. But we have Flukemaster on the show, and I don't know if you guys have followed any fishing people on YouTube before, because if you have, you've probably heard of Flukemaster, and I know for a fact that before I started my channel, I was watching Flukemaster videos, especially when I was getting into kayak fishing. So I'm really excited for tonight, and I hope that we can have a great show for him. So we got Gene Jensen, the Flukemaster. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm pretty dang good. Like I told you earlier before we got on here, I was out mowing my lawn and almost forgot this thing. So I'm glad I wear a hat. You don't get to see all the grass in my hair, but I'm doing pretty good.
I mean, the grass would be a nice touch, I think, just like legit, so people know that you officially were mowing 7.5 acres, I believe you said, of lawn. Not with a push mower, folks, with a 0-turn radius riding lawnmower, the legit way. So that is awesome, man. Yeah, we're pumped to have you. We thank you so much for the time, and I think we're gonna have a really fun show tonight. This, you guys, much like when we had Steve Parks on last week, if you're looking for a show that's probably full of golden nuggets of knowledge that will help you catch fish, this is one of those episodes. So you should pay attention. And if you're listening to this after the fact, listen to it several times. I legit, and like Gene knows Steve Parks really well, so we were joking about it just before we went live here. I got messages on Steve's episode, and this is actually kind of a competition thing I'm going to put you up against right now. People are saying they listened to Steve Parks' episode like 4 or 5 times. Like, listened to it, watched it, listened to it, watched it. So I don't know. We're gonna have to see if that happens with your episode. See if it lives up to the hype. We'll see.
Yeah, Steve is my boy. I love him to death. Matter of fact, I got one of his baits, one of his trailers right here on one of my jigs. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, one of the best soft plastics designers on the planet by bar none. Anyway, I can go on
Oh, yeah.
forever about it.
Oh, we're gonna go on forever. Don't worry about it. So we'll dive into the show here in just a little bit, you guys. You know the drill. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe, but most importantly, smash the like on this live podcast right now. And I know people are partying over on the MONSTERBASS channel. You should tell them to quit being over there with those nerds and come hang out with us because we're cooler. And then you can also follow us every Thursday. So be subscribed, smash the like, ring the notification bell. And if you guys listen to the podcast, it really helps us if you drop us a 5-star review and leave a comment there as well, just to spread the reach of the listenership on the audio side of things, because we're a part of the Waypoint Collective, if you haven't heard about it. Big outdoor network, tons of fun, and that helps us grow there a lot. Real quick shout outs to our members, Snorlax crew, newbies. We got Solitary Refinement, Tom Gross, who just won a giveaway. Congrats, bro, and I saw that you're in chat. Justin Brosino, been here 6 months, gosh dang it. Storm Wells, been here 5 months. Rob Harrison's new. Westfall Outdoors must have just joined because I didn't type that in. Westfall, welcome aboard, my friend. And then Shark Deuce level, we have Kyle Skaggs, and Burly Elite, we have X2 Dynasty 8X. Great name. I love it. We appreciate you guys so much for supporting the show. And shout out to those Snorlax crew members. Tomorrow, we'll be sharing a form for you to fill out to get your Ned Rig Nerds shirt. So stay tuned for that. Don't worry about asking me for sizes. It'll all be taken care of on that form, so stay tuned. And then we have a members only live for y'all on 10/14. Put it on your calendars, October 14th. It's a Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's all I got. I'm done, Paul. Let's go.
All right, so the way we like to start our show is the Q of the D, the question of the day. Nice, fun icebreaker. No right answers, no wrong answers. Some answers could be more right. We'll just put it that way. So this one's actually Jeff's. Jeff came up with this one. I love it though. So
I did a thing.
The question was, it's kind of a this or that, like, or would you rather? Would you rather only fish with ultralight gear, so like sub 1/16 ounce for the rest of your life, or only fish with 2 ounce plus gear for the rest of your life?
Heavy stuff.
Easy, ultralight. I grew up on ultralight. Love it. Absolutely love it. My favorite thing to do, I've got 2-pound test Seaguar fluorocarbon on a spool in there, and my favorite thing to do is to throw that on an ultralight. I got a 7'3" ultralight spinning rod and go out and catch 5+ pound bass. Favorite thing to do.
It's
dude, I love that. That's the most right answer.
Kind of actually, that was very right. Big time revelation for both Jeff and I. Like, I've been using ultralight gear for a long time, but never really targeting big bass. But this year it's been like it's become like the go-to. Like when the day isn't phenomenal, like I find myself gravitating directly towards that like 332, like smaller stuff. Yeah. And I've caught some big bass this year very easily on the 6.5 foot ultralight, and it's like I've never had more fun. I've never had more fun doing anything else. It's just like incredibly good.
100%.
So can I ask what your ultralight setup is? What rod and reel are you using?
I cannot remember the brand. I bought it years ago at dang it, I can't remember what store I bought it. I was traveling. I used to guide in Richmond Mill, Georgia, at the Kingfisher Society, #1 bluegill lake in the world, and so we had ultralights, but I wanted a 7'3" ultralight. I didn't want a little short one, and so I went and I basically just it was, I can't even remember the store anyway. I just looked for the longest ultralight I could find, and it's a cheap one. I think it probably cost me $25.
Yep.
Nice.
And so, and then the reel is an old 13 fishing ultralight reel they don't make anymore, and so I just change line out frequently. My new favorite thing is I've got 8-pound test braid, and I tie on a 2-pound test gold label fluorocarbon, which is their highest end fluorocarbon, and it's just a leader material. They don't even sell it as a big spool. It's just a little leader spool. And love it. Man, it is so much fun. And I've got a great lake down the road full of big ones. So
it's amazing. So awesome. It's amazing how similar that setup is to what we've been rocking. 8-pound high vis. I actually want to try white to see if I like it better than high vis, but that's been the setup for this season. I will tell you, I think 13 Fishing's one of your partners. The Defy Silver has been the ultralight rod of choice this year. And I'm here to tell you, dude, that thing. It's nice because it's great for jigs. Like it's so sensitive, but it's stout enough to run jigs on. and that's like my go-to. I gotta have one rod for jigs and then one for treble hook baits, and that one is now my like ultralight jig rod. It's fantastic.
I just picked up one of their steelhead rods. They're 9.5 foot steelhead rods. So I can't remember what the full length was, but yeah, and I haven't tried it yet, but I'm definitely going to this next year. So.
That's awesome. I love it, man. Yeah, and it's fun. We were kind of freaking out there for a second because you said 8-pound braid, and I was like, "Yo, that's what we got on our spools, dude." But yeah, we have like the Defy Silver and a 5.6 ultralight, and that's been our favorite. We're throwing 332 and under ounce jigs. 132 is like my go-to, and those are from our buddy Online Outdoorsman, who I blame 100%, and everybody in chat knows this right now. It is his fault that we are on ultralight, but I'm excited to hear that you love that, and I was interested to see, like the result from the question. I was like, I don't know, this could go like either way, and like our producer Chaz is like heavy duty, go swim baits.
Yeah, I'm not, especially when I'm flipping and pitching. If I go over an ounce and a quarter, I have a bad day because you lose a lot of fish that way anyway.
Oh yeah,
a 2-ounce weight, I'd rather chunk it in the lake than fish it. I have them. I'll use them if I absolutely have to, but 90% of the fish I'm going to lose on the hook set. So, no matter what.
I hear you, man. That's awesome. Real quick super chat shout outs here. We got David Ellers with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend, for the support. To heck with the Monster Bass channel. Gene is the man. Hung out with him and other kayak fishermen at Buffalo Wild Wings after the Wisconsin Fishing Expo in Madison. That's awesome, dude.
Lovely. Who's on the Monster Bass one? I'm gonna if I have their phone number, I'm gonna text bomb them and just totally blow them up. No, I'm just kidding.
It's actually just Rick. He's just taking callers right now.
Please light him up.
Wait. Should we get the number and call in?
Let's not. I love Rick. I'm not gonna do it. I haven't messed up that bridge yet, so.
All right, we'll keep that one. We'll keep that
bridge,
one.
Whatever.
We'll keep that one.
And then I want to make a huge shout out to our boy Army Outdoors. Man, you are the man for a $50 super chat. That is fantastic, brother. I know this is gonna be an awesome live. So excited for this. All you guys are awesome. Just got done fishing and backing the boat up the driveway. Had 2 Black Hawk helicopters fly over while I was fishing tonight after work. I saw that. Our boy's down in Fort Knox. And his little lake he fishes on is like right off the base, so he gets that stuff happening all the time. That is so cool, man. Appreciate the support, brother. That's awesome. And thanks for the number, David. We're not gonna call it. Gene doesn't want to burn that bridge. We're not gonna call it.
No.
So I think. Yeah, I think everybody who watches YouTube or has watched YouTube knows about Flukemaster. They may not know where the nickname comes from. So how do you get? I had to ask Big O the same question because I was like, how do you get an awesome nickname like that? And he had his method. So what was your method? How did you end up with a nickname like Flukemaster?
So I spent a lot of time. That's where I got to know Big O was through the forums back in 2003, 2004, 2005, around that period of time. And he has a lot to do with what I'm doing right now, and he doesn't even know it. But anyway, so back then we had to come up with a screen name. I mean, what the crud? I didn't know a whole lot about. I just, I found out that there were these things called forums, and there were fishing forums, and I could learn about fishing on fishing forums. And I sucked at bass fishing, so I wanted to get better. And so I had to come up with this name. Well, I had just started to learn and get confidence in a fluke. And this was back when everybody was calling themselves something master. So I guess I just followed along with that stupid trend and called myself the Flukemaster. Well, I kept it through several forums, became staff on Bass Resource, which is Big O's been a long time advertiser on Bass Resource. I was on staff for 10 years, and in the middle of that 10 years is when YouTube started. And my original channel name was The Fishing Partner. And all of my buddies on Bass Resource were like, "You're a freaking idiot. That your brand is Flukemaster, whether you like it or not." And they used, you know who Ed Bassmaster is on YouTube? Well, you look at that, and he's got Skippy and all that. He's a comedian on YouTube. Well, he started out sharing his videos on Bass Resource. And so we know him from before he started YouTube, and they used him as an example. that he couldn't get away from his name, and I can't get away from mine. So I changed my channel name to Flukemaster, and it just stuck. And I didn't really want it, but I owned it, so it is what it is.
Wow.
So like your popularity is like your worst enemy, because now you didn't even get to
Now
pick your own
stuck.
channel name. They were like, God dang it, I'm so popular as Flukemaster, I'm not allowed to be anybody else.
Yep. And so what I did was I spent, after 4 or 5 years of doing YouTube as Flukemaster, I spent the next 3 or 4 years and introducing myself as Gene Jensen to try to separate the man from the brand, and just have it two different things. So I'm still working on that.
I mean, that's totally why I made like the thumbnail for this video.
Yeah.
Both names. I was like, I don't know. I know him by both names. I'll just put it down here.
So true.
Well, I love it. You talked a little bit about being. I like to ask everybody this question. I'm sure you get it on every single fishing show, but I think it really matters, especially because of what your channel is, what it's all about, and kind of the genesis for how Flukemaster came to be Flukemaster. So, how did you get started? How did you get started in fishing?
In fishing in general, my father, he back in the 50s, the early 50s, he was a guide on the Snake River in Wyoming. And that's when it was rugged and rough, and you could go days without seeing people. And so he was a trout guy. The man never, to the day he died, never been in a boat with me whatsoever. Always wanted to go trout fishing, so we always did. Matter of fact, let me grab something behind you. This is something that's supposed to be on the wall, but I took it off last week. This is a picture of my dad the last day we ever fished together.
Wow.
So probably one of the most special pictures ever. And you see him, his knees are in the water, and that is the creek I grew up fishing. And something told me to turn around and take pictures of my dad that day. And it was 7 years before he passed away of Parkinson. And so it was really, really cool to be able to have that picture. It's on my mom's mantle and everything else. But he's the man that taught me how to fish. And then when I was a teenager, my best friend was a bass fisherman, and he got me into the love of bass fishing. Then I joined the Army and got away from it. Got stationed in Augusta the last 20 months in the service and started to fish the back of Fort Gordon. Fort Gordon has 22 ponds in the back, or lakes. And I borrowed my father-in-law's little 10-foot John boat with a little 100-year-old trolling motor and went around those lakes. It was a lot of fun.
That's
how it all started.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So, how often do you get back to trout fishing at all?
A couple times a year. My brother-in-law, who lives right close to us, he's real. And I'm gonna rag on him a little bit. He's a stock truck follower. He knows the schedule of the stocking truck to a T. And so I rip on him all the time because me and my dad liked to go the week before the first stocking of the year. So we got the holdovers from the year before. So it was actually a challenge. And here I am, I got a brother-in-law. He'd rather follow right behind the stock truck all day long.
And he's probably fishing with pellets.
Yeah, with corn.
Exactly. Yeah. And the joke, guys, if you don't know anything about
awesome.
trout, when they drop these trout, they're coming out of basically a farm, and they get fed like one thing. It's either a brown pellet or a piece of corn, right? So you can and they're like bluegill that come out of a pond. They'll just hammer and machine gun whatever they see, and they don't know any better because they're not in the wild. Now, wild brown trout, or any trout for that matter, wild trout, they get wily and they get very sensitive. And even if you watch trout feed, a lot of times the best trout fishermen, they're just standing there staring at the same fish for about 5 minutes, and they're watching this pattern of how that fish is coming out of its holdover into a current, and then they're watching that spot, and they're watching to see, okay, how often are they coming, and they'll wait and pattern it, and they'll cast so that you have to really time that fish to try and get the bigs, because those bigger, older fish, they've seen it all, they're smart, and they can see everything. And that's the difference between, when he talks about those holdover fish, that's the educated, they survived, they made it past all the anglers and all the bass and everything else that's trying to get them. They made it that far, and you're fishing the hardest fish. Versus if you're following the stocking truck, you can pretty much catch that one just about. That's easier to catch than the bass, because they're green as the grass. So that is funny. But catching trout is fun. It's hard to knock somebody that just wants to catch them. So,
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
plugging fish is great. Sometimes when I throw my ultralight, like 1/32 ounce, like little mule fishing jig, little tiny paddle tails, it feels like fishing for stock bluegill because I mean, I can't bat them off the hook, but it's still fun just to catch some fish. Real quick shout out, we got another super chat snuck in here. Justin Reese, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. If you got a question for Gene or us, throw that our way. You earned it. That's what you get. You get something for that.
Justin hasn't asked this question. I'm hoping he chimes back in and asks one. But I actually did see a really good question here. The question was, do you have any thoughts on like BFS ultralight reels? So like bait feeding like ultralight, basically bait casters. Have you tried it and would you?
I used to get all into that, like with the old Daiwa Pixie and the JDM stuff, and then I was just like, what a waste of money and time. So I guess I sold them and I let somebody else play around with that, because if I'm going to throw an ultralight, the best fighting rod for an ultralight is always going to be a spinning rod. And so no matter what you do, because what happens to a bait caster when you're fighting a fish? It wants to turn and get that tip top all the way around to the bottom in order to be a good fighting rod. Roll a spinning rod's already that way, and so you don't get any twist or torque on your rod, and it's just a better fighting rod, especially when you have a big fish on an ultralight. It makes all the difference in the world.
Good call out. It's that sensitive area. I think a lot of guys will always argue like, well, for trout fishing, like I would use a BFS, which if you guys don't notice, the bait finesse system, we've used them on the channel. We had the Cast King Zephyr, for example. Our buddy Online Outdoorsman has the Shimano Curado BFS, which I almost never see him use. He always goes for his spinning setup anyways. So I'll take it from two ultralight guys that have been doing it a lot longer than me. Spinning route's the way to go. That's a fair point. Fair point. We just had another super chat sneak in here. Gfon Kim, thank you so much, my friend. Absolute legend. Gene, can you describe the lure you made from a pencil? And was it a Dixon Ticonderoga?
Ticonderoga.
Man. I've only mentioned that maybe twice, is that I have caught a fish on a number 2 pencil. And so you take the smallest, and I just basically went into my shop and I have a little drawers of all these little pieces of hardware that I've had up for projects over the years.
Yeah.
Smallest little hook eyes that I had, and I tapped a little hole in the number 2 pencil, and I put 2 of them in there, and I put 2 split rings on it so I could drop the hooks a little bit lower, and I put 2 trebles on it, and then I put another one up top, tie the line onto it with the point facing towards me as I was fishing it, and I just walked it and goofed around with it in the water until I caught a bass, And so that one of the things I tell people is lures really don't make a whole lot of difference. I love to teach people how to find bass because I feel like that's the most important thing there is. And then lures are secondary because you can catch a bass on anything if it matches their mood or matches their, they're very inquisitive. They really want to see what it is, but they can't reach out and grab it with their hands because they don't have any. They're going to grab it with their mouth. And I think that's 9 times out of 10, that's the kind of bite we're getting, or we scare the crap out of them and they have to grab it, or, that kind of stuff. So very seldom do we get a feeding bite. But yeah, it's that number 2 pencil was a lot of fun. It was more of a challenge for myself. I never did a video of it. It was years ago, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh, he asked a question? Oh, hang on. I see it. All right. So this one goes back to Justin Reese, who just did a super chat just a minute ago here. So he asks, I just purchased a new Canoe Frontier 12 kayak. What upgrades should I start with? Keep ripping lips, boys. I appreciate everything you guys do for us. You all cost me a lot of money. Well, we apologize for that. That's the way it goes.
That's part of the business. So what? I'm gonna start off with the obvious ones. Get a comfortable PFD. Get one
Yep.
that has pockets to force you to wear it all the time. I have one that holds my cell phone, so it's always going to be on me. Plus,
Mhm.
I know I'd be crucified if I ever made a video with me without a PFD on. And I fell in the water at Caddo Lake last week.
Oh
Right?
no.
The video's coming out next week. Yes, I was standing up and running my motor guide and hit a little bitty stump about that big around that was too deep for me to see in the swamp with all the giant lizards, and went forward and over the side. But I didn't tip the boat, and I did a good open water reentry, and I talked about it on the video. So as soon as my crazy son gets done editing that one, then we'll get that one out next week. It's pretty funny. It wasn't funny at the time, but it's pretty funny now.
Wow.
So a good PFD that you wear all the time, a good paddle, whether you're going to use a motor or not, have a good paddle, because if you ever get stranded 12 miles away from your truck, you're going to want a good paddle.
Yeah.
And then your upgrades, of course, a fish finder would be my number one upgrade. And I went and picked up my new boat for this next year from Bonafide today. I was on the road for, oh gosh, 9 hours today, driving to North Carolina and back. Left at 4 o'clock this morning.
Oh my gosh.
But so I picked up my new boat, but I took my old boat up there to get pictures taken, and I have a Garmin side imaging, down imaging, mapping, everything else, and then below it I have another Garmin that's my live scope, and I've got live scope on it and everything else. But the number one thing upgrade would be just your basic fish finder that has mapping, GPS, down imaging, and regular sonar. Can change your life and
Yeah.
make it to where you're not throwing at what you see, you're throwing what's actually in the water and under the water. And it just takes time to learn it, and there's lots of stuff out there about it. So that'd be my number one upgrade, definitely. And there's so many different ways to mount it to your kayak. I'll give you, for instance, my buddy Damon. He's a great angler, but he was fishing out of an old Ascend that he kept falling out of and losing gear. And he finally got a native Slayer and got a Lowrance fish finder that has side imaging, and literally he's come close to beating me so many times this year in KBF tournaments, it's not even funny. But that was the upgrade, was he got a fish finder and then figured out how to read it. So
That's huge, man. And yeah, 100%, because Paul and I have been fishing out of kayaks for a while. We've had a number of different kayaks, from like the Old Town Predator. I think Paul had the MX. I had the 13. We've got sit inside kayaks, and like, I can't tell you how big a difference that makes. And like, the bigger the screen, the higher the technology goes, obviously the better it gets. But spend the appropriate amount of money for you guys. There's a lot of great options out there for under $300 or $400 if you want something decent that helps you get after them fish. But as our buddy Bass Geek would tell you, if you go to that like 7-9 inch screen and really upgrade specs a little bit, it can be an absolute game changer. So I'd say just do your research. I mean, we already got accused of making you spend way too much money. So, I mean, I don't want to put out too much out here, right? But do your research. Definitely do your research. I have a Lowrance Hook 2. It's a 5-inch screen. We call her Lauren because I yell at her a lot because she doesn't really do a good job. And that's just like the older Hook 2 series. Paul has the Reveal. We had a lot of technical issues with that for the first like 6 months of ownership, and now it works. It definitely works better than mine. The Reveal series is way better than the old Hook 2s, but there are also other versions out there. And you're rocking the Garmin. Garmin's a great option. We got Humminbird. I mean, guys, just do your research.
Is take your time. And I've used
Yeah.
Ray Marine, Garmin, Lowrance, Humminbird. I've used them all. Take your time doing your research. Don't be in a hurry to buy it. I have Ray Marines on my big boat, and I want to hit them with a sledgehammer every time I'm fishing, and they're $4,500 worth of electronics. Okay, and so you really got to do your research. And I'm not bashing Ray Marine. I'm just having so many issues with those specific units that I'm done. I'm just done. And so, and they don't make those units anymore for good reason.
For a reason.
But anyway, so take your time, and what I always tell people is make sure it has side imaging. Make sure it has down imaging, mapping, and regular sonar, and then get the largest screen that you can afford.
Yep.
Don't break the bank. Just get the largest screen that you can afford, and you'll be happy with it until you can upgrade. and keep upgrading until you have, and just have fun with all the new technology that's coming out.
Oh yeah, and guess what, guys? Black Friday is coming very soon, so there's always a deal. Like, just I don't know, wait if you're saving cash, like you could wait for that. You do what Paul and I are doing. Paul and I are putting aside a couple $100 a month, honestly, to upgrade to like a 9-inch, just way better spec platform. So we're gonna just take our time. We're doing our research slowly but surely until there's like enough in the account that's been set aside. We're not missing it because we're just saving. We're putting it aside. Sometimes you got to do that, and it's worth that, right? Because it's an investment, right? Like anything else, it's an investment, and you should plan on it lasting for a while, not being something that you skimp on, hate. You cover up several letters of it and name it Lauren, and then scream at it all the time when you're trying to find fish, because that's what I did when I spent $200 on my fish finder. So take your time, folks. All right, so I don't see any other like big questions right now. Bunch of little ones. We'll come back to some of those. We got slow rolling thunder, which I didn't even describe to Gene before we started the show. At the end of the show, Gene, we do a giveaway for Monster Bass actually, and we run what we call slow rolling thunder, where we just hit you with some like speed round questions, but we tend to just lollygag and joke around at that point in time. So it used to be the lightning round. So it can't be anymore. It's too slow. But we'll have some fun with that towards the end of the show. I can't wait to see this video where you flip out of the boat either. That's going to be like 10 million views in the first day, probably.
Yeah, I just I haven't tested my microphones yet because I had my microphone in my PFD. So I've dried it out. I'm just going to test it, make sure it works. I'm scared too because I'll probably get really mad. So,
which mic is it?
It was the new Rode Wireless Goes.
That's $300. Bye.
$300. So luckily I think it stayed fairly dry. Then I had my Hero 9 with the new media frame around it. The media frame got wet. They kept the Hero 9 waterproof. So that's gonna it may cost me $500. Who knows?
Oh gosh. Well, you guys better watch that video and show some support so that we can get a new camera.
Did you have the front cam rolling, or did you only have the chest cam on?
I had my pole behind me, the pole cam on behind me, so you got the whole thing.
That might be even better.
You got my butt in the air and everything, man. It was great.
That is gonna be. I'm gonna watch that. Like just on repeat. The back cam can be a game changer.
Oh yeah, I smell a 2 million view TikTok in your future.
Easily. Oh yeah. Oh, so for sure, a great idea.
I got you. Don't worry about it. So the another question I have is, at what point did you kind of recognize that you were, because I think at one point you were guiding, and at what point did you realize, like, I'm enjoying like the teaching aspect of this is what I am really passionate about. Like I love the fishing, like that is like capital T passion, but like equivalent to that is like the teaching aspect of things. When did that like light bulb go off, and then what did you do after that?
Well, the resort that I guided at, Kingfisher Society, it was a high-end resort. I mean, like, they had a private chef that fed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it was for the wealthiest people on the planet, and it was $1,200 a day per person to fish there. And so I was just a glorified fishing caddy. I sat in the boat, and I handed them their rods, and I took the fish off the hooks, and I put new worms on and that kind of stuff. But I really fell in love with the ability to teach them how to do it. But one day I'm trying to make this story short, but I was filming with a guy. There was a TV show that showed up. His name's Alan Warren. He doesn't do fishing shows anymore, but he's out of Texas. And he said something that made a light bulb go off. And this was just part of the many different things that made me think about YouTube. I had Boy Scouts that wanted to learn how to fish. Mike Buca told me, Bullshad Buca told me that I needed to find my own little niche in fishing. And this was way before he started making bull shads. And then, and so this light bulb came off after Alan Warren said, you know what? TV shows have all become, hey, watch me fish and buy the crap I'm using. And they no longer teach people how to fish. And he had gotten burned out. And that's why he doesn't do fishing video or fishing shows anymore. And this light bulb blew up in my head. And I'm just like, I want to teach people how to fish. I love to see the look on guys' face when they catch their first bass. I love to see the look on even these rich guys' face who have spent their whole entire life grinding and making money, and they haven't really had a chance to enjoy it. A 72-year-old man that I could not connect with the whole day. He was quiet. I taught him how to use a spinning reel. He'd be fumbling with his spinning reel because his hands weren't working really good as the line was swimming off to the side. And I took so many gut hooks out of the gut that day of a fish. And at the end of the day, he looked at me and said, "You know what? I just had one of the best days of my life." Like,
wow.
Fishing. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. And YouTube was brand new. My Boy Scouts that I was a Scoutmaster for wanted to learn how to fish. They were in this inner city, didn't have a dad in the picture, no grandpa, nobody to take them fishing. But I couldn't because I worked weekend. My full-time job was at the hospital on the weekends. And so I started making YouTube videos because YouTube was the only website at the time that it was free to host videos. It had nothing to do with money. I didn't even know you could make money for the first 4 years. I just made YouTube videos because I wanted to teach as many people as I could how to fish because I knew that nobody in the industry was doing it anymore. And so I was the first, and the second one was Nick the Informative Fisherman. So, and he was shortly after me within like months. And so, and that's the reason I did it, is because nobody else was.
That's so awesome. I just love how like genuine and authentic that is, and you can tell how passionate you are about it as you just like went through that story. That's so great. And to prove your point, here comes Micah McGuire, who says started fishing in April and started watching Flukemaster videos in May. Finally caught a 5-pounder today. Thanks, Gene. I was in chat. Like as you're telling this story, no big deal. Dude, a little dirt off the shoulders.
I was 28 years old when I caught my first 5-pounder. And so, and I was already married and it was pre-YouTube, but it was, you know, that's pretty cool, man. To catch one that big, it's something else.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love it. Oh, and here we go on cue. It's our guy, official Burly hype man _ aka _ he changed it to Peas. Improved Clinch is back. This guy, he changes his name every single show. It's hilarious. But thank you for the super chat. $5, my friend. You're awesome. Flukemaster speaks the truth. Got to get back to work fishing the Southeast. And Pima, if you win, you're fired. Cheers. We have a kid that watches the show. His name's Fishing the Southeast. And he's won our show giveaway like three times, Paul?
Yeah, two or
three times, and he won Debo's fishing show like
and,
2 or 3 times,
and Mr. Bass right after that.
And Mr. Bat, dude, this guy, he's got the golden touch.
And Monster
did say he's a monkey. I was on the Monster Bass live chat for a little bit. He was in there, and he said if he wins today, he actually wants to give it away. So I have the name of the person he wants to give it to, and if he wins, that's where it'll go. So we got him covered. I mean, I think that's cool. He was like, once I win like 27 giveaways, I'll start giving my giveaways away. Classic kid. I love it. All right. So,
well, one of the questions I had for you. So, you know, you're starting to get into YouTube, and you know, obviously saw success quickly. Like, who were some of the influences that you had as you were starting to create content and starting to figure out, like, I mean, you can't know everything, right, in fishing. So, how did you know, become good enough at some of the things that you were trying to teach, and you know, what were some of your influences as you were getting started?
Oh my goodness. Man, it's hard. I never thought of it. Well, I already mentioned Mike Buca. So Mike and I met in 2001 at a Bass Pro Shops spring fishing classic, and we have been great friends ever since. And so he had a lot to do with me just realizing that, one, I wanted to be in the industry. And let me qualify that. He's the only person that I knew that was sponsored by some of the best companies in the industry and did not fish tournaments. And so I wanted to know how. He started me with that, and then watching Big O on forums create. So Big O started on forums before Strike King picked up Rage Tail.
Yep.
And so Strike King is just a distributor of Rage Tail. Big O owns it. And so I watched Big O create this loyal cult-like following on forums just by responding and getting involved in the forums. He was one of the earliest influencers that I had ever seen, that I saw. And it wasn't called influencers back then. Nobody knew it. And so I watched him, and I'm a people watcher, and I was like, this guy has figured something out. What is it? And so it was all these little things, that and me guiding, and it was just all these things that kind of all came together that helped me figure out the game and figure out that it was possible. Now, for the video side of it, I'm all self-taught. YouTube is who taught me how to do videos and taught me. I knew a little bit about pictures because I was a photographer for my high school in my yearbook, but I didn't know anything about shooting video. And so I kind of put all of that together, and then just took what I learned online and what I read about and what I researched and made them into videos.
That's awesome. And it's just like kind of A/B testing it as you go, right? Like you just learn as you go with YouTube. This worked, that didn't work. Do more of the thing that worked, do less of the thing that didn't work. Just keep going, right? Narrow it down. Oh man.
Experiment.
Yep, exactly. I love it.
How do I turn off the live chat and get back to the full screen?
Are you on live chat? Oh no.
So I clicked on that. Got it. All right.
And we're back. All right, sweet. Real quick super chat call out. We got Justin Brosino with $1.99. He says, "Hey, at Paul Glass, what happened to the Q of the D, bro? We did it. Rewind the tape. It's back there. It was a pretty good time too, so you should watch it later." And then Leather Stocking Angler $4.99. Thank you, my friend. Whenever I want to see how to use a lure, I go to Flukemaster and watch a video. Hey, bro. So did I. That's how I learned a lot of stuff too. That's awesome.
Amazing.
I do have. What was that?
Covered them all.
You've covered
covered them all.
every single. I would believe it. How long have you been on YouTube?
11 years.
Oh my gosh.
760 something videos, 770 something videos.
Wow.
So, but there is one lure that I'm going to do a video of, and so I'm not going to say what it is.
I was about to say,
Not
what
even
is
a
it?
teaser? Come on.
It's a common topwater lure. I just have never done it, and so
I was gonna ask you if it was topwater. I don't know how I knew that, but my brain was telling me it was topwater.
It's that time of year.
He won't even tell us after the show. How many trebles does it have?
I'm not telling you.
Oh man,
Dang
not
it.
even that. All right, well, you know, I'm just fishing for information for you guys. Come on now. So I love asking this question anytime we have a content creator on the show. But I added a little extra.
It's one of those things where I like barbecue. I like eating. I'm not ashamed of it.
I'm living my life.
Take your 19-year-old metabolism back to your house, because when you get to be 47 years old, you're gonna look just like me.
That's the one, man. You cannot explain. You can't explain turning 30 to someone who's not 30. You can't explain turning 30 to anyone who's not 29. You just can't do it. Like, it's not like there's no. You can say exactly what happens, but like if you're not 30 or older, you will not get it.
My house.
You cannot get it.
To me.
You will not understand. Like everything is fine until midnight or whatever your birthday is of when you're turning 30. Like, and then from that moment onward, every French fry, milkshake, coffee, it's just like, dude, it's like, oh, this is different now. My body is broken. Like, and there's no explaining it.
You're using scare tactics to all the children in chat right now. You're just like, hey kids, enjoy while you can. Because at midnight.
I fight heredity too, because I've got a 60-year-old brother. I'm the 7th of 8 children, so I've got an older brother, alpine climber and a cyclist, and he still has a gut. And none of us drink.
It's like nothing you can do.
I don't drink. It's not a beer belly. So,
dude, you're just going with the flow. You just at that point, you're just rolling with it, and you just gotta that. And that's oh man, you know what? People should be commenting positively about just living your life.
But you know what? Like at the end of the day, basically all it is social media gave everybody a megaphone, and now they all feel like they have to shout their opinions, even though nobody really cares about them. And you can't fix stupid. And the problem here is, all you're doing is trying to help people fish, and they chose to bypass that. They're like, "Oh, he's trying to help me catch. I don't care. Hey, you're fat. Like, why? Like, why?"
Shockingly, though, we talk about this all the time with content creators. Every time the negative stuff comes in, you almost have to be like, thank you, because it's going to like triple the number of comments that are going to come in that video, and then you will inherently get more reach, and then all they've really done is made sure that like 10 more people saw that video. So you almost have to be like, appreciate you.
Thanks for the interaction.
My other favorite one is when somebody will get in and, I'm sponsored, I do this for a living, so on and so forth. You're a sellout. And I'm like,
oh,
I love that one.
And my response is pretty simple. I'm like, hey, dude, how much money did you pay to watch my videos?
$0.00.
I spent $32,000 last year so you could watch my videos for free.
You're welcome.
Somebody's got to pay for them. Mama's got to feed the kids. Somebody's got to pay for them. And I tell my sponsors, I'm not expensive to my sponsors. I'm a really cheap YouTuber. But I tell them, I say, you're not paying me. You're paying my wife to let me do this. And it's the honest truth. She is happy with having, and I have a wonderful wife. She's happy with me having the bills paid and the kids with shoes and not having to worry about bills, and that's it. And food on the table. We don't have to be rich. We're not. I got a zero turn because I got 7.5 acres to mow. It's not because I want one. If I could afford it, I'd pay somebody else to do it. And that's the part of this game. Unfortunately, is we have to talk about our sponsors. We have to do that kind of stuff to be able to make a living. But I try so hard to make my videos 99.9% instructional, and that 1% of this is my sponsor stuff. So,
dude, well, it's funny you say that because that's sort of like something that I feel like once you get into, I'm using air quotes, like the industry or making content or whatever it is, once you get on that side of things, it's really difficult to escape from. And it's kind of come up. I was watching the Alex Rudd show last week, and talking about the demonetization of shows that have that are showing hunting side, but also on the fishing side, people who have done bow fishing or any of that other stuff, getting their channel suspended for 30 days. And and the money thing came up, and I was maybe more adamant in the the comment section than I probably wanted to be, but I think it gets lost very easily and very quickly, like how big of a deal the money is, because as much as I don't want it to be about the money, it's not about the money, really. The money enables you to do what you want to do. And that's kind of what you're getting at, is like, if I want to do this and I want to do it to the level that I, at the quality and the quantity and as often, like it takes time. I mean, ultimately, it takes time. It takes equipment and stuff and things, but it's my time and my money. My time is how to your point, that's how I feed my family, and I have a family, right? And I have a full-time job, and if I'm not doing my full-time job, I'm not making money, which means it's like I need the money to be able to have the time to do this. And so, it's not that it's about the money. It's that the money is the fuel that lets you do what everyone's enjoying here and what we're trying to do. It's the only way it's really possible. I mean, I could do it without money at a much lower quality, at a much lower level, way less videos, and you wouldn't get as much, and it wouldn't be as good, and you wouldn't enjoy it, and you wouldn't get what you're getting. So it's like, again, I probably got more adamant than I wanted to, but it becomes a crucial thing when you're trying to do more, and you want to do more, and you want to do a great job. And it's tough, man. And we encounter the same thing too. With sometimes it's about the exclusivity. It's like, I don't want to be exclusive because I want to be able to tell people about every bait that's out there. I don't want to only tell them about this one bait, or I don't want to only be able to tell them about these rods. I want to be able to tell them about all the rods and that whole thing.
Yep. That's one of the things, as I guess one of the first influencers, and I've gotten a lot of respect through the industry because of my integrity and because I don't hold anything back. But The things is I'm not exclusive with baits. I refuse to be. Contracts with several different bait companies, and all of them understand that. And and you know, many of them make the same type of lures, but influencers, especially YouTubers, and we would shoot ourselves in the foot if we went exclusive Berkeley or exclusive whoever, you know. And so
Hmm.
for me, I'll put them in the front of the line. Dude, if I'm using a Zoom or a Strike King, I'm not sponsored by Strike King, but I use so much of their stuff. I'm sitting here playing with a dang caffeine shad while we're doing this. I use everybody's stuff and I talk about it. And if my sponsor stuff show up in the video, great. If it doesn't, okay, you know.
Hmm.
That's me. I'm upfront about it when I sign contracts. I'm like, dude, this is just the way I am. You can take it or leave it. It works, and
Yeah.
it's worked for a long time, and that's just it. So, and we got to get away from. And I love all my pro friends and all the guys that fish the series and that kind of stuff. We got to get away from the NASCAR mentality, you
Yeah.
know, that kind of stuff. You know,
Well, it's funny,
it's
hunting.
boring and
Yeah, hunting has the same problem. I mean, you know, because TV contracts have dictated everything for hunting for such a long time, and you know, Meat Eater came along and really changed things for a lot of people, and a couple of other big YouTube channels. But hunting has always been behind fishing, big time. And duck hunting was handicapped for forever because brands owned influencers and brands drove. They were tied into TV contracts, and that was all you could watch. And YouTube helped change things. Facebook, heck, helped change things, but they are so far behind fishing because fishing has gotten so much further away from. I mean, and they're still tied in, but brands have gotten further away from the content, owning the content, and they haven't with hunting a lot of times. I mean, you watch any hunting show on a sportsman's channel or whatever, you're going to get absolutely blasted. The whole thing's a commercial, and it's
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough, but like, you know, fishing is you know, it's still, they're definitely tied in, but it's so much further away than hunting and duck hunting for sure are kind of the big three, right? That you see on TV, and they're, you know, like, I don't know if duck hunting will ever get away from it. I mean, those brands just drive everything.
Well, I mean, look, like
and
the big challenge is just that there's all these brands that are always going to be there, right? Like where it's a capitalist society we live in, so they're going to exist, and then everybody's going to have questions about them, and they're at different price points, and they want an honest opinion. And when you're owned by everybody, or you're only repping one singular brand, then it's tough for anybody to believe that they're getting an honest opinion from you or that you have any authenticity. So, I mean, I've surely noticed that from your channel, and we've always tried to emulate that as much as we can from awesome people like you or from Debo's Fishing, where they, you know, you guys, you try everything because everybody else is looking at all these different things, and if all they can do is like, you know, they're buying Zoom because Zoom is a little bit cheaper than, you know, whatever other brand, like fine, awesome, they work great. Like some of my favorite flukes, but you know, like it just helps you get that honest opinion from somebody versus somebody who you're like, all right, you're in that back pocket of that company, and like all I'm going to get from you is this is the best thing, everything else sucks, you know. And
that's the
yeah.
first, when I'm talking about rods and reels, that's the first thing that comes out of mind. I'm out of my mouth. I'm like, look, I am sponsored by 13 Fishing, so I'm gonna talk about 13 Fishing rods. Understand that, and then we go on with the conversation. So,
Yep.
and I don't have an opinion about anybody else because I haven't used, you know, Abu Garcia and Daiwa in 12 years, you know, or 8 years,
Yep.
however long it's been when I've done 13. So, you
Yep.
know, honesty,
Yeah.
dude, it goes a long ways no matter what you're doing.
We
For
talked
sure.
about yeah, I think we talked about that with the Rudd back in the day too. I don't know why it's coming up twice, it just is. But we talked about like stock ponds, right? And I think we talked about it with Debo too. And it's like there's nothing wrong with fishing a stock pond. Just tell everyone you're fishing
Just
at a
say
stock
it.
pond, and you're like, I'm at a pond. There's big fish here. I'm gonna go try and catch one. Don't be like, I'm here in creation.
New
going to
body of
catch, you know,
water.
I mean, like that's not what this is.
I bet I can catch a fish.
And no one's gonna be mad if that's what you're doing. Like that's not, no one's gonna be upset, but like they're gonna be upset, and they should be, rightly so, if you're out there telling them that, you know, you're at the public watering hole or whatever.
One of my favorite videos I ever did, and it was my jig fishing video, way back when I was at Kingfisher Society. Now it's a 250 acre lake with 5 pound average feeder trained largemouth. They come to the feeders and they eat and they go back and stuff like that. So video, one of the other guides challenged me to do a video where I would catch a big fish and not even break character, don't even smile, don't even admit that the fish is even there. Just keep on with your instruction and plop that sucker back in the water and keep on going. And oh my gosh, the comments were hilarious. I mean, I caught a 6-pounder and I just kind of took it off the hook while I'm still teaching, still giving the instructions, dropped it back in the water and kept on going.
So yeah, when you're working the fluke back and forth, 7-pounder. What you want to do is keep it up on high.
Those are the fun things we do. I like to poke the bear, man. It's so much fun.
That is awesome. Dude, I couldn't even do that on purpose. I just caught a 5-1 with Paul the other day, and like I shook. I was shaking for like 35 minutes. Like I could not calm down. So I envy you for that. Your ability to just go into character. That's so awesome. Yeah, I didn't get to my second part question, and apparently I won't for another second here. There's another part of the YouTube question I want to get to, but Solitary Refinement, who also just joined the Snorlax crew, so thank you so much for joining, my friend. I love my Defy rods. Yes, sir. I don't see a reason to spend more.
Dude, that Defy Silver is phenomenal.
But you just picked up the Omen Black.
This is weird, man. I don't need to get into like a 13 fishing thing or anything like that, and this was not on purpose. This is very much
guys. We got them before we talked to Fluke.
Video has been out. You can go watch it already. But I got the.
He sold us before the show.
Yeah, I got the Omen Black in the medium light, and I'm here to say right now it is probably my favorite rod right now. And it does everything that I want, and I have been blown away for the price. How much I like using that rod, and it is, to be fair, part of it is the reel too, and it's just one of my favorite reels. But it's not 13 fishing reel or anything like that. It's just an old President Special Edition. But that's like my favorite size, and a 5.2, and you can't find the 5.2 in a lot of spots, and the spinning reel in that size. So, man, but that. I'm telling you, those rods, like every one that I get, even at the $150 range, like, which is, expensive, but not a bank breaker by any stretch. And it is so worth the cost of admission. If you had the Defy Silver and I had that medium light Omen, and that honestly covers everything that I want from like a bass fishing, ultralight fishing, spinning setup. When I go to Canada, which is to fish, big smallmouth like exclusively, that's all I want is one of those. I don't even need both of them. I just need one of those, and I know I'm having fun like the entirety of the time that I'm out. And that, I mean, I have, again, those rods are just great. I've been so happy.
What I always tell my guys about 13 is I don't fish 13 because they're the best rods on the market. Because they are the best deal on the market. You get a rod or a reel that feels and acts like it's more expensive than what you paid for it.
Yeah.
No matter where it is. And it's because of the way, if you notice, 13 fishing changes all the time. They're always changing one or two of their rod lines, whichever one's their oldest, because they take the technology is maybe 1 or 2 years old, but it's better than the technology that's in that current rod, and they add it to that rod, and they just keep building those rods and making them better and better, still maintaining that price point. And that's what I love about them. And I'm going to tell you, don't ever pick up the new Envies. They're expensive. They're the best rod I've ever put in my hand. Ricky, at iCast, I was like, Ricky, you have done it. I mean, you had absolutely done it. And all the pros were that way. Gerald Swindle said the same thing. And they're like, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars these rods are. It's their highest end rod. But they're
touch
awesome.
Anyway, don't touch it. Got it.
It's gonna.
My favorite rods are still the Fate Blacks, which are now $80.
Yep.
The new Fate V3 white ones. I'm going to use those because they're good rods, but they look really good on video when I'm teaching, how to work a rod or that kind of stuff. You can see them.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Omens are great. They have the Omen Kayak series that has the short handles. So for those of us with big bellies and PFDs, you can switch hands without any problems. Anyway, we can talk about that forever.
Yeah, and I don't mean to. The other thing too, that I think people get really hung up on, is looking at the sponsor list, and they'll be like, well, you don't have, you're not rocking St. Croix, like what are who even are you, right? Or if you're not working with like the apps, if it's anybody but Iowa, it's not the best of the best. And I'm like,
it's also opinion that goes into that.
well, but you see, you get the idea, right? Like, and I think we should be really clear, like, or someone switches from one brand to this other brand, and I'm like, yo, I mean, if you switch from pure fishing and you go to Lose, or vice versa, like, what are you telling me that I'm not offering you a good product? I'm going to sit in my chair and I'm not going to tell you something that I love this product? It doesn't have to be like the absolute best of the best. Everyone is not going to go out and spend, $400 on like the nicest St. Croix made in America, rod that you can go get, or I don't know, whoever your best rod that you've ever, touched in your life or whatever. And like that, if that was the case, there would only be one brand out there for everybody all the time.
Right.
And that's not reality. So I think to go out there and say, this is one of my favorite brands, this is somebody I like to work with as a company, they make product that I really enjoy fishing and that I have no problem putting my name on. As long as people trust your name, I think that's where you're gonna make a name for yourself. So I think that's great.
For sure.
One thing, you guys are gonna love the new price point reels that are coming out. The Origins, there's 3 of them. They start at $60 and go to $70.
Ooh.
And, they're really good for the price point. Really, I got 3. I just got 4 in the mail day before yesterday, so I haven't put any line on them. But the ones I messed around with iCast, I was pretty impressed. So you'll get my opinion in about 2 months, because I'll use them and grind them and try to break them before I give an opinion. But they were really good. Really good.
Yeah, I see. I love that right there. Like, you're not gonna give your opinion out of the box. You're gonna spool them up, go beat the tar out of them, and then be like, okay.
There's fewer plastic parts than they should have. They should have more plastic parts at that price point, but they put aluminum parts on them and that kind of stuff, which was really impressive. And that's the first impression stuff. And after that, the only problem is they sent me all 6.3 to 1 gear, or 6.6 to 1 gear ratios, and I don't use 6.6 to 1 very much. So
Send me the slowest stuff you got. All right, cool.
That's why it's going to take a little bit, because I'm going to have to actually use them on and they're going to drive me nuts because they're slow.
Well, it's not, it's funny.
You're like, let's go.
It is funny you say that. Like, a lot of times we'll post like 2 videos, right? Like for when reviewing a new product, right? And you'll say like, I've not fished this out of the box. This thing awesome. Here's what it's supposed to do. And then like you'll get like 3,000 messages like, hey, what did you think of this, that, or the other thing? And you're like, I fished it like a couple of weeks. Like, so far so good. You're not gonna see a video for like 3 months. And because you want to get into it, right? I feel bad every time someone asks that video. Like I've had some people ask about a couple of different things. I'm like, I really can't tell you yet. I can tell you what I like it now, but like I gotta catch
first impressions
on it before I can really let you know.
Like, look at it. It's still shiny. There's no scratches on it.
Let me just hit this on this rock, and then I'll tell you.
I can tell you that much.
All right, so I had my second part of this question I want to ask, and then Rocket Blades, I'm going to get to you in your question here in just a second. But my second part of the YouTube question, your YouTube experience, was what was like the best YouTube like moment? And by YouTube moment, I just mean you being a part of the YouTube world, being a content creator, being an influencer, and a teacher of fishing to everyone, right? What was like that amazing moment for you?
First thing that came to mind was that first $100 check.
Yes, I mean, why not? Yeah. I love it. You're like, whoa, you can make money doing this. This is sick. Yeah, exactly. That's how we were.
So when I first started YouTube, in order to get accepted to the partner program, you had to fill out a job application. Literal job application. They went and looked at your channel and inspected it and accepted you or not. And then you hooked up your AdSense and that kind of stuff. That was way back in the day. That's how long I've been doing this stuff. But anyway, so I got 4 years into it, I got $100 check. So it took me 4 years to make my first $100 on YouTube. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute, you can make money at this? It's like, I told my wife, I was like, okay, maybe I'll
Yo.
keep doing this and see what happens. But that was one of the aha moments. But I guess my favorite. No, I've had so many videos that I hated ended
Yeah.
up being pretty, being really popular. Like how to find fish was one I did not like. I didn't want to put it out. It's my most popular video. It's got more views than my other ones, and I'm just like, and there's so much missing out of it. It has a good outline and it covers all the bases, but there's just so much missing out of it that I wanted to do more of. Maybe I ought to do that one. But it took off and it literally supported my channel for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And so I was just like, that's when I realized it doesn't matter what you do. You just throw things up there and YouTube decides which one's going to be good and which one's not. And don't worry about that part of it. So I make my outline, I go do my videos. Hopefully the fish cooperate 10% of the time. And then I edit it and I put it up there so people can learn. And I worry about the numbers every year. That's about it. And so somebody else has to tell me how many subscribers I got. Somebody else has to tell me how many views I have. I pay attention to the comments. I respond to as many comments as I can. Other than that, it's not important to me. And so, my favorite thing out of all of YouTube are the stories I get from my subscribers. The guys or the single moms that say, you taught me how to teach my kids how to fish, or the dudes that are they're addicts that are recovering addicts, that kind of stuff. They're like, hey, I found fishing and it's my new addiction, and blah, blah, blah. You just get stories and stories, and I love that. That's what keeps me fired up. That keeps me doing this, even though sometimes I'm burned out. And my long-term subscribers can tell that, and they'll call me down on it, and they'll try to get me amped back up. I do get burned out with this every once in a while, at least once a year, usually in August or early September when it's hotter than heck, and you can only get so naked until it's it's illegal. And so I'm ready to quit. And so anyway, and then fall happens, and then I'm happy again.
And you're happy. I love it, man. That is so awesome. That's so good. I'll say something right now, and like we can talk about it after the show. But like, anytime I've talked to like a larger channel, which you are a larger channel, the funniest thing to me is that they'll be like, man, I don't know how many subscribers I got. I don't check that stuff. We had Larry Melton on here, and he's been growing a lot lately, and his point was like, I deleted YouTube Studio because I don't want to see how my last 10 videos compare to each other, because that's just that mental game. So I just think that's really cool that you brought that up too. I love it, man.
Like a
And
live leaderboard on a tournament,
against
in your
yourself.
head.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. So we got a little bit of time left. Let's talk about that. So you got a tourney coming up that you're leaving for tomorrow?
Saturday morning. I'll go. It's the KBF National Championship, and at the same time we're fishing. There's 3 tournaments that are being fished consecutive or at the same days.
Yeah.
So the Trail Series Championship, the Challenge Series Championship, and the KBF National Championship. I qualified for all 3, and so
Nice.
There. Who knows how much money's in the pot? There's a lot. Let's just put it. Somebody's going to win about 60 to 70 grand doing this. So I'm leaving Saturday to go pre-fish in Shreveport, Louisiana. My son qualified, my oldest son, Jordan, 17 years old. And so I have to wait till he gets out of school. So next Thursday, I'm driving back home to pick him up. Wednesday, driving back home to pick him up, which is 9.5 hours. Going back Thursday and starting to pre-fish to get ready for the tournament. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What we do for our children.
I know it. Yep. And so it's gonna be fun. It's swamp water. I've already done some pre-fishing there just to kind of figure out what the lake was doing and that kind of stuff. I got back on this past Saturday or Friday. I think it was Saturday I got back after 8 days of being there. And so I've been out there quite a bit. That was a whirlwind of a trip, but it was fun. It was really fun. That's when I fell in the lake.
Which again, I can't wait to see that. But do you not have a KBF check? Is that on your wall right behind you?
2 of them behind me. Like that.
I love it, dude.
That's a 4th place or 5th place. The Invitational. I make sure that I qualify for the Invitational every year, or something, because I like to fish down in Florida, and they've always been down at Lake Kissimmee, that chain, and I love fishing down there. So it's my excuse to get down there for about 3 weeks in the winter time, to get away from my wife and kids. But yeah, I go down there and I do some backwoods camping for about 14 to 20 days, and fish Florida. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We have a bunch of buddies that.
Dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have a bunch of buddies that fish Florida year round, and we're super jelly. And they keep inviting us, and it's Paul's fault that we don't go there. I'm fully putting the blame on Paul. No, we got to get down there and do that sometime for sure. Real quick, super chat. I want to jump over to. We got Louisiana Cam for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. Looking for a good glass rod for crankbaits. Love my 7.6 carbon light from Bass Pro, but want to get a glass rod in like the $100 to $200 range. Any tips? Obviously, let the Flukemaster take this question.
I'll be honest with you. I stopped using glass rods about 10 years ago. When the technology and the ability to design the carbon blanks became good enough. And this was early. They're a lot better now than they were 10 years ago. But carbon blanks that moderate parabolic bend are so much more responsive and so much more sensitive. Even though you still get that parabolic bend, I don't fish composite. I don't fish glass. I fish straight, carbon. Matter of fact, when I first signed with 13, they had this rod called the Frankenstein. Some gun was not a cranking rod. It was a spinnerbait rod, and I got with Ricky, and I was like, dude, you don't have a cranking rod. It's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, no. And this is me. I don't hold anything back. I don't care or anything. I'm like, you need to come up with some cranking rods. So we worked, and he did most of the work. I just kind of tested them, but for a couple of years, and now they've got some really good cranking rods. But any company's got good cranking rods now that are not glass. Glass, you just lose so much sensitivity. And I use a crankbait to search the bottom. I want to feel whether it's hard bottom. I want to feel where it's soft bottom. I want to feel that kind of stuff and do it quickly, and then hopefully get a bite. But sometimes I don't. But I just use it, and the sensitivity of that rod is everything when you're cranking. I'm looking at my desk right now. I just finished a video a couple days ago, and I've got 12 crankbaits right here. And I am one of those guys that I will. I use them all the time. I don't have a lot of videos about them because I still don't have the confidence to make a video, but one of these days I will.
Can I ask you a question about line? What's your line preference on a cranking rod?
Carbon.
Over braid with a fluoro leader.
Fluoro.
Yeah, because I get the maximum depth.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the biggest thing. I would use braid if it didn't float.
Yep.
So I want to get that. I want to have a consistent depth, whether it's shallow or deep. And when you're putting a leader on it, it all depends on the length of your leader, or how deep that thing's going. So I want to be able to pick up this bait right here. This is a rock crawler, okay? And so I write underneath it. I write the depth, 9 to 14 feet, and I want to know that thing on 12-pound line is going to go 10.5 feet deep. Or 11 feet deep. I want to know it before I even start cranking. Yep. So everything has to be pretty consistent.
It's really funny. I just switched, and the main reason was casting distance as well as depth. And depth was one of the biggest reasons. For the longest time, I was braid all for just the sensitivity, and that was really it. And then like the durability of bringing that fish in if it was in the gunk or in the sticks or whatever. But this is the first year I've really done it, and I'm not. I don't know. I won't know until next year whether or not I'm gonna do it for forever. But for the longest time, I was like braid or die. But it makes a big difference.
Yeah. I got rocket blades. Oh wait, no, you're right. Oh my gosh, Rock Blades, I forever apologize for this because I totally told you I was going to ask your question here. And look at me. I've failed. So I'm going to do that. And then we got B Dooley after that. Don't let me forget that one, Chaz. All right. So I know. You got me. So Rocket Blades, jumping back to you, brother. Sorry about that. We fish ponds around us from the bank. From the bank out at least 8 feet is nothing but grass and slime. How do I fish lures with trebles without getting so frustrated from the trebles being snagged? Any advice?
That's all depth. You don't want it to get down in there, so you've got to use something that's going to run above it. I would recommend my favorite lure and technique when I'm hitting a pond. And literally, when I'm hitting a pond, and it doesn't matter if it's grass, muck, or whatever on the bottom, I have one spinning rod. I have a pocket full of finesse TRDs and a Ned rig. And so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. But the thing is, I don't fish it like normal people do. You know, most people will sit there and they'll cast it out and they'll let it sink to the bottom and they're hopping it on the bottom. Well, you're going to get caught up in all that muck. Let it sink to the bottom, lift up your rod just a little bit and start to reel really slow, and then start to just kind of wiggle your tip of your rod just a little bit. You're swimming that thing just above that muck. You're able to bump stuff. Now, another technique real quick is if you're fishing like a bluegill bed. And so a bluegill bed usually has a hard bottom. Throw it out, let it sit to the bottom, and then slowly reeling it. You're actually dragging with your reel. You're dragging it on the bottom, and that little head of that Ned rig will hit something and pop. A Ned rig or something on the bottom, but make sure it just stays up above everything, and you'll get bit. Really. And one of my little pond down the street is just like that, and that's what I do, and I catch them all the time out there. So.
I love it. You're like one of the few guys who fishes like down south who would say Ned rig, and like all my other friends down south are like, I'm not using a sissy stick and I'm not throwing a Ned rig, and I'm like, come on.
It's about catching fish, you knuckleheads. You know, it's like
prove it.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Last time I checked, I wanted them to bite whatever was on the end of my rod. If I feel like come on.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
I feel validated that the Flukemaster said that this was a good idea and we were doing the right thing. I also want to point out.
Those are the same guys whose rod and reel are matching colors.
Yeah. 100%.
What a subtle, sick burn. I love it.
I just want to point out that the T-shirt we were talking about earlier, Gene, that we're going to be giving away to all of our top level members in the Snorlax crew for our YouTube members. The T-shirt is called "It's the Ned Rig Nerds." That's what's on the T-shirt. So I just want to point out that's what we're dealing with here, and these are the folks. These are our people. That's who you're talking to right now.
These are our people. No, it's a finesse TRD rigged open hook laying sideways, and it is a non-existent Z-Man color, which is purple and chartreuse, which I wish they would make.
Which I wish they had. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Right. All right.
I might have a little pull over there.
If you know a guy, we're
Incredible
looking for
Hulk.
In Hulk, we're looking for the
They can
Hulk
call
color
it Lou
combo.
Ferrigno.
No, they could call it Jeff and Paul. I mean, it's just you're welcome.
I told them that I wanted to be in on at least one of their little sessions where they name their lures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it has to be the funniest party you've ever been at. Because I mean, look, you get the big turd. TRD,
The giant turd.
And they must have and I know the guys, they're hilarious anyway. They must have an absolute ball naming their baits.
Oh, for sure.
Well, when Jeff and Paul comes out, just make sure it's Paul and Jeff.
All right, but Hank, we got to tell Gene about this. So we have a second tier level of our membership, which is called the Chartreusers, and that's because Copper Truce is our favorite color of the finesse TRD because it catches us gosh dang the most fish. So we call it the old Chartreuse, because it's chartreuse and the copper flake. So it's Chartreuse, and it gets it done. TRD, deuce.
Mine's the deal. That's my favorite color.
The deal is your go-to color.
Yep.
See, it's like my third or fourth favorite color for sure. It's the one I have stocked up for sure.
It's the same color of a crawfish when it first molts, when it first sheds skin. It's got that pearl belly and that green pumpkin top.
Yeah,
that's what, I was actually fishing that all day yesterday, and the irony is I could not buy a bite, and I couldn't figure out why, and I literally could not figure out why. But it is that's probably, I think that's my number 3. That's probably my number 3 in my Ned rig box.
But they're little craws in that color. If you just like drift them in our rivers, have always been great. So
small
fair point. Yep,
100%. And that's why it's number 3. I love it. So should we
smally fun? I gotta get B Dooley. Hang on.
I almost cried when they came out. When they came out with those little baby craws, I just about cried because I'd been taking little baby rage craws and cutting them down, cutting the tops of them off, and putting them on. And that's what I was catching Tennessee River smallmouth with.
Yep.
And they came out with those, and I'm like, oh, I was just so happy.
They'll live forever.
And I only need 3 to last me all year.
I need 3 in my pocket for one wading trip, and like I'm good for 4 miles of river. All right. So we had I'm going back to your super chat because I'm not gonna miss people, but I had B Dooley here with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. And he had a question for sure for Flukemaster here. So it's the best ultralight casting rod. Okay, I didn't see that you said that. Because if you listen back, Gene already said don't do BFS, but we'll ask this question anyway. So ultralight casting rod that's a 2-piece. Any advice here? Any thoughts?
Gosh, no, I don't. I know it's the best ultralight rod that has ever been made that they don't make anymore. But it was the Ray Scott ultralight rod. If you guys could ever find one.
Ray Scott.
Yep, Ray Scott had a rod made, and it was specifically for, and I'm sorry for not answering your question. I literally have no clue for an ultralight casting rod because I throw spinning rods 100%. But the Ray Scott ultralight rod, he used them for the original slider method, the slider lure. It's the original Ned rig is what I call it. But anyway, it's a do nothing lure, and it's got a big old spool on the front of it, the spinning reel, and then the rod. And I think last I knew, he had like 20 left in his house. But they were the best spinning rod or finesse and ultralight rod that has, to me, as I've ever put in my hand. It was a rod reel combo. The reel was made for the rod.
Yeah, we can't get 13 Fishing to pull the trigger on one of those.
I know that they've got a new bluegill series out that just got announced. Should be coming out in the next couple 2-3 months. I have a few of them. I just haven't unwrapped them yet. They're still in my barn.
You can just shoot one our way. 2 would be fine. Yeah.
The address is.
I can't give away samples. I have to give away actually production ones. So
I mean, you can lose. You don't have to give it away. You just lose it.
I lost it. Like it fell off the truck and we're in the backyard. Like no, we live quite a few states away.
My job is to break samples, and so that's. I mean, you remember the video when Sam broke that rod and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a 13, it's a piece of crap." He's like, "Dude, this is what we do. This is our job. We beat the snot out of our equipment, so you don't have issues when you get them." So that's what I do. And all my rods are samples. I broke one the other day, and it was stupid me. It was on a back cast in my kayak, and I know better.
No.
Yeah, it was a good rod too. But anyway, so that's what we do is break them. So I've got to test those bluegill rods and see what give Ricky the feedback when they mess up. So
fair assessment. We personally break rods for fun and not for a job. I have personally watched Paul straight high stick a rod in half because it was laying on the bed of his kayak, like right over the bow. And he went to like flip a jig and he just high sticked it in half. It was hilarious.
Hot HMG, man, that thing exploded. That was hilarious.
Dude, yeah, it was a Fenwick. Yeah, it's hilarious. Real quick, Shout out David Ellers for welcoming you to the Snorlax crew, my friend, just in time.
You won't be mad. You won't be mad.
The funniest thing is, I think he was holding out because the shirts are black, and he said black is too warm, and I said, I don't think we can do anything about that. We don't have a lot of choice with the color of the shirt because of the cost of getting the shirts to you guys. So I apologize, but they're 99.9% likely to be black. I'll ask the t-shirt guy, who's a friend of mine, to see if we can do something, but they're probably going to be black. Also, the colors that are on them are like chartreuse and purple, so they kind of only really
You're gonna want that black.
on black.
Yeah, that's what I was
Don't wear it
thinking.
in the sun.
All right, so
It's
so
green chartreuse. Okay, it's bright green.
we are at
Slow rolling thunder.
Yeah, we're at basically the 1.5 hour mark. We got Gene's just coming off like a gigantic chore, and he's got a big pack
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we've had Gene up since 4 a.m. and
Yeah.
has driven 1,000 billion miles and also mowed 1,000 billion acres. So
And he
we gotta
also
get
knows
Gene
I'm
out of here.
I'm good. I live off of 4 hours of sleep, so we're good.
Oh man, welcome to the world.
I
Kindred
talk more when I'm
spirits.
tired.
I love it.
Oh, dude, kindred spirits, man. I feel like I'm in the same boat. So we're gonna do the slow rolling thunder round. This is our giveaway round. So we got a couple fun questions for you. People in chat already know what's going on. If you want to be entered in the giveaway for a $25 Monster Bass gift card, we want to say thank y'all. Thank Monster Bass for sponsoring this episode. So we're gonna get a digital gift card. So here's how it's gonna work. Everyone is chatting is now being entered to win. So please, whoa, the chats are rolling in. Jeff's watching for that comment.
Time out. We got David Ellers with the super chat, $5. Thank you, my friend. It says, hey Gene, ask them to at least add one. Oh my God, the chat's flying too hard. Add one baitcaster to the panfish lineup. Got it. I need a rod for my Curado BFS. See, he's pushing. The guys are pushing the BFS, man.
They really are.
I'm gonna have to look more into the BFS before I
Sure.
go to Ricky and say, "Hey, you need to spend a few $1,000s on this rod."
I will tell you right now, the only reason that I would actually say to make a BFS, and as a recent customer on the BFS side, on the rod side, not necessarily on the reel side, on the rod side, the number of options are unbelievably limited. And I mean, and I'm talking about the ultralight side. I mean, there's basically only 3 options out there. And that tells me, and the number of people that have bought the Shimano Sensolite is a joke. It is hilarious. You can't even find them. And that's what everybody is saying to buy. The next step up is that Dobbins, the very specific ultralight that they have. And it's beautiful, but it's also like $180. And you can't find those anywhere. I mean,
you can't find a lot of stuff anywhere, let's be fair.
But even in this scenario where a lot of that has come out late, well after that sort of buy-up that happened in 2020, there's a dearth of options out there, and there's definitely not a stratification of like price out there. So it's like 50 or 60, 180. And like that's it. I mean, that's for the ultralight.
180.
I mean, that's
true. You go Casking Zephyr, $70 usually on sale. Curado BFS, $250. So,
anyways, I want to get to the song right there. So we're gonna ask the questions. If you chatted, you're entered, and then we will draw a random winner at the end of the Slow Rolling Thunder round. Here's what you're going to need to do. If your name is called as the winner, you're going to need to just type your email into chat and send it to us. No one will see it, just Jeff and I, and then we will email you that $25 gift card. So, without further ado, my first question for Flukemaster is on your fishing shirt. So you're like, your long sleeve, your sun shirt when you're out fishing. Do you like to have the hood, or do you not like to have the hood?
Hood, 100%. All the time. Matter of fact, I love the hood and the built-in gator, the built-in mask is what I love. Because I never get burnt. I never get burnt on the neck with one of those things. So,
I love it.
If you have a regular sun shirt, you're always getting burned right back here. You get this nice little burn line right back here.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I don't want skin cancer, bro.
Case in point, just saying. I'm with you. So
I'm very sad. I'm not with you.
Here's the thing, Gene. Paul and I have had a battle for 83 episodes. Not quite all of those, but 83 episodes. We've been battling about this, and it's hood versus no hood. And I'm pro hood, and he's no hood. It's literally neck and neck, no pun intended. And I just I want everybody in chat. I want everyone in chat. Paul's ahead by 2. There's first of all, that's a lie. There's no way.
Jeff's up 1.
Here's the deal. Here's the nail in his coffin. What did Paul wear, do you guys think, when we fish this weekend?
Hold on.
Hold on. PB.
That doesn't mean I can never not wear a hooded shirt.
No, I'm sorry, but if that's how you believe that hoods are bad,
no,
you should
I didn't say hoods are bad.
Shirts.
It's preference. It's preference. I can
if
wear
it's your preference, then don't wear them.
Like it. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. If I have 6 shirts and I wore all the other ones and they're all dirty and I got one left and it's a garbage hooded shirt, what am I supposed to do?
Then you go shirtless, bro.
Get out of it. Okay, Chaz.
Like a man.
All right. Anyways, question number. This is ridiculous. Question: if you ever wear a non-hooded shirt, I'm gonna crucify you. All right.
Another positive for a hood is when I'm on my spot, I don't want people to see my hat.
Oh yeah, you got the.
Me.
They see the red bill and they're like, they already know. That's a good call. I like it.
They call him Sneaky Gene, the Bass Assassin, man. So just so everybody knows in chat, Paul was wearing 2 hoods, and you're gonna see it in the video.
And I hated every second of it. As I woke up in the morning, I was upset with myself. All right.
Well, then don't do it, nerd.
Okay. I was burning all my shirts. What is your
please?
What is your fit? Can I ask a question? Are we doing this?
No. What do you mean? Army Outdoors, welcome back for 7 freaking months. Good grief, dude. And Louisiana Cam, thank you so much for the super chat, $1.99. Go get you a crappy rod and slap the BFS on it. I love that sentence, first of all. And I'm gonna say it that way on purpose, because get you a crappy rod. That's so awesome. Oh, Greg Whitaker with the 6 months, homie. What's up? Westfall Outdoors with the super chat, $1.99. Hashtag Team Hood. Team Hood all day. Thank you. Me and Gene think you're awesome.
You guys are just very aggressive.
These
about
two
your opinions.
nerds don't.
That's fine. I know that I'm in the right, and that's okay. So, fishing footwear of choice. What is your fishing footwear of choice in the kayak on we'll just say on an average temp day, a shorts day?
Who wants to answer this question for me?
Can I say Crocs?
Anybody in the chat want to answer this question? It's the same.
Yeah, do you know the answer?
10 years.
Is it Crocs? Can it be Crocs?
I wear
Crocs.
I got pictures of me ice fishing in Crocs. I wear Crocs.
Every single person that doesn't answer Crocs now has to contend with the fact that both Big O and Flukemaster have now said that Crocs are better than everything else. So there it is.
Which means you'd be wrong. Chance, you're wrong. I just said that.
You will die wrong on that one. I love it. So this is one of my favorite questions. I love this question. So what is the most used app on your phone that is not either social media, work, and I've added, or music related?
Google Maps.
Oh wow.
Is that fair?
Actually,
that's
right? Actually a really good answer too.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
That's a really good answer.
Oh,
dude, he's like a road warrior. He's out here driving like 40 hours this week.
This month,
today.
This month I've driven 5,223 miles.
I want everybody on chat right now to know that I am coming to the end of a 3-year lease on my truck, and most of this is due to the current pandemic. But that current truck has less than 10,000 miles on it, and it's at 2.6 years. It's like,
I've still got to drive to Louisiana and back before this month's up.
Oh my lord!
It's mind-boggling.
Wow,
that's such distance.
I drove 620 miles today. Oh.
That's a great answer. I love that.
What you're telling me is that I'm not well traveled. Like, you are very well traveled. That's awesome. Ooh, you got a road trip coming up. There you go.
But they don't have trailer hitches on those things.
Yeah.
Can you fly my boat behind you? Is that fine?
So here's another one for you. What would if they outlawed fishing tomorrow? What would your follow up passion be?
Don't say such
Jail.
things.
Wait, what was it? I missed it.
Jail.
Wait, what?
I'd go to jail if they outlawed jail.
It kept getting cut off partially, so all we heard was ale, and we were like, I don't beer.
That doesn't
Like,
sound good.
beer.
He goes to jail.
Jail.
That's
That's the best answer that you could possibly have to that question, Paul. I'm sorry. No, it's removed from future episodes. You can't ask that question anymore because we went as far as you can.
Jail. That's
Jail.
the best. All right, I love it.
It's
So-
the prison for me.
All right,
Wait, time out.
Oh, God.
Time out. Super chat. Matt Putnam, thank you so much for this $4.99 super chat. Awesome show. Thanks, Flukemaster, Burly Fishing, Paul Glass, Hood Sock.
Yes!
Crocs all day. See, the beautiful thing is Paul and I are not divided on the Crocs thing. We're like, yes.
Yeah,
Crocs,
we got a makeup
obviously.
question here.
But we have like we're fighting on the hoods.
So before I ask the last question, this is my new method for while we have to wait for folks to type their emails. So I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna ask the last question in a second, but while we're doing that, we're gonna actually have Chaz announce the winner of the giveaway now. So Chaz, please roll our winner for the $25
Roll the
Master
thunder.
Monster Bass gift card.
Caro Berg, oh my gosh! Here's the
Arrow
best thing.
Ferg, I just saw you typing, so you are our winner for tonight. So we are. Yep, there she goes.
Yep.
She already knows about it, and we're waiting for your email.
Give us the email. So here's the deal. Before you ask Gene the question, the beautiful thing was on the MB Live, Fish in the Southeast was like, if I win, I want to give it to
No.
Caro Ferg or somebody else. I'm sorry, I can't remember the other name. Fish in the Southeast, you tell us, but Caro
Is
Ferg
100% hacked. He's got
he
us
hacked
hacked.
it to give it to Caro Ferg.
100%. All right,
Gosh,
Caro.
dang it.
Caro, while we are waiting for your email, I'm going to ask Gene the last question here. The last one is,
Yep.
Gene, what is your favorite boat snack?
Pistachios.
Pistachios.
In the
That's
shell
all.
or shelled?
In the shell, salt and pepper.
In the shell, salt and pepper.
Ooh.
So your bona fide is just covered in
Littered.
shells.
Well, what's cool about pistachio shells is they sink.
So your lakes are littered.
I buy the Sam's Club bag of the pistachios.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yep. So
Yeah,
the
the
dudes
reason he
rolling
needs-
up behind you are
reason-
crankbaiting.
Yeah, the reason
It's
needs
just
the
coming up
crankbait is
with
he's
shells.
just hearing shells.
Hey, eventually it's going to get hard bottom. Eventually, we're going to have hard
This is
bottom.
gonna all gel into a hard bottom. I was just thinking your bona fide was basically like the floor of a Texas roadhouse. Like it was just shells.
I turn that motor guide on and I hit the direction button and say, okay, take me that way, and I just pull the bag out from underneath my seat and I just start eating while I'm just going. So
You know,
It's kind of like seeds. I mean,
well, I
we'll
was
go
gonna
sunflower
say,
seeds.
here's my deal with seeds. My deal with seeds that I struggle with is on camera they are horrific because you're just
Horrible.
crunching and spitting the whole time, and that is actually kind of it's become an issue. It's become an issue.
I don't bring them anymore because you can't talk
Yeah,
to
I
the
bring them, but
camera.
it's only during the break. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, are we taking a lunchtime break? Well, all right, we'll have some seeds. That's fine. Caro Ferg, did we get your email yet? Let's do it.
I didn't see it. She's
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Good."
it was. Oh, she did.
Carol,
Post it again.
Carol, we have not seen it. You're gonna need to send that again. We apologize for the reason. That works.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Chaz is going to provide his email to you. You can send it to his email. You can also send it to info@burlyfishing or DM me on Instagram any way possible so we can get you your prize. Also, they called out Jeff Lauer was the other name that Fish in the Southeast was going to provide with said giveaway. So we'll know if Jeff Lauer or Fish in the
Yeah, if
Southeast
he wins in the
win
next 2
week,
weeks.
it's rigged. It's rigged.
You
And
just
it's not us. It's not us rigging it, you guys.
either
It's-
that or you've got 3 people watching your show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Gene, that hurts. That cuts real deep.
That was brutal. Frontal assault.
It cuts real deep. You know, we accept.
I know the answer to why your guys' show.
You're 100% correct. It's only 3 people. We've been making up super chats this whole time that we've been doing this.
Yeah, all these guys. It's just my mom, my grandma.
Thanks, Mom. I mean, Fish in the Southeast. All right. Well, with that, I think we're good, right?
Yeah, we're definitely done.
All right, so Caro, for you, obviously it's not letting you submit this. This has happened one time before. It could be a YouTube issue. So again, we provided our email, so you can send it to podcast@burlyfishing.com or info@burlyfishing.com, and maybe a screenshot of your profile picture, so I know it's not Fish in the Southeast trying to snake your prize again or some nonsense like that.
What they do, what YouTube will do, will kick it over to your messages that need to be reviewed, is what they'll do, because it's an email address and they think it's a link, and so it doesn't show up, but it's there.
Okay. We'll check for it. You know what? Rest assured, we got you covered. I mean, you comment all the time, so I'm gonna get you. But we will get you that gift card. And you know what? Thank you so much, you guys, for watching, for hanging out with us this Thursday night. And especially thank you to our buddy Flukemaster for being so awesome and generous with his time today. So thank you so much for being here, man. And I feel like this is a redundant, ridiculous question to ask you, but where can people find you on the internet?
Well, I'm Flukemaster pretty much across the board. If you want to join me tomorrow night at 9:00 Eastern, my live deal that I've been doing longer than anybody else on the planet. I was the first fishing YouTuber to start a YouTube live because it was the day after they allowed us to do it. And so I've been doing Friday Night Lives since then. Alex Rudd stole my time frame, but that's okay. He does his at the same time mine does. I just texted him and talked to him today. We rag each other all the time. But anyway, 9:00 Eastern, same time Alex does. Come join me. Tell Alex he can go jump in a lake for a minute. And we can
Yeah.
1 minute.
No,
but
for sure.
Flukemaster across Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, the whole 9 yards. So you'll find me.
Awesome. You are the first content creator to be on our show to call out Snapchat. So I just want to say thank you for doing that, because that's one of Paul's favorite apps of all time, forever. But yeah, you guys, if you haven't already been following Flukemaster, you've been missing out. So go ahead and do that ASAP. And also look at this. On the tail end of the show with the super chat, Louisiana Cam, you've been on it all show, my friend. Thank you so much. That's okay. We don't like Alex Rudds. I love the S on the end. Alex Rudds.
I love it, man.
I just want to call it out. Alex Rudd on the Monster Bass Live was talking trash about us, specifically me, and I talked some trash back, and I think we might have a Ned Rig throwdown. I don't know. I challenged him to a Ned Rig throwdown. I said Ned Rigs only. We're gonna meet on the battlefield. And I was half joking, but I'm totally serious. I'll take him on. And I also said potentially like Flukemaster will be on my side, because now I know. He tried to take your limelight with your Friday Night Live. So, I mean, you and me, we'll shut him down. Make this happen.
I no, because I understand he's a teacher and he only has Friday nights. You know, that's one of those things where he's an elementary school teacher. He has to deal with snotty nosed brats all day long. You know, let him have Friday night. But come join me instead.
I just love that he says, "Let him have Friday night, but come watch me instead."
Yeah, you can have it as long as you're watching my show.
You can have it. No one's going there. They're coming here. All right. That's all we got for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back again next week with another guest, which is totally on the top of my mind. It's Georgia Bassmaster. So that's going to be a blast. We're going to talk TikTok, all sorts of cool stuff. That guy's been up to a lot of things going on. So again, thank you so much to Flukemaster. Gene, you're fantastic. Again, I was starstruck today that we even got the opportunity. So appreciate you very much, and appreciate all of you. We're going to see you next week. Chaz, take us out of here.
Took a swing at a wrecking ball, and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down. can do is play the game.